everyone, thank you for joining us. We are doing our next episode of Captura Classroom, and you may notice that with me, Lucy, who you probably recognise, we have another face who hopefully you recognise as well. This is Roger. Would you like to introduce yourself and why you're joining us today?
Why, thank you, Lucy. Yes, I would. Hello, everyone. My name is Roger Pack. Some of you may know me because I used to work at when it was called Image Quicks, now Captura. Others may know me from working at a company called Photo Day, but I would love for y'all to know me as the owner and founder of the Studio Pack.
Indeed.
So, yeah, that was good, Lucy. Thank you for the tee up there. Um, there's a lot more I could say, but then we wouldn't get through the webinar episode, and like we want to give y'all the information instead of me kind of like, word vomiting everywhere and then Lucy just smiling in the background. So.
I mean, there's so many things that people need to know about you and how helpful you are. So we will touch on those things. But also at the end, we'll have a calendar link. So if you want to join Roger and a call for any of the things, including help with your workflow or just, having a good chat, it will be there at the end. So we've got you. So yeah, why don't we kick off? Like, obviously, you've got a lot of experience in the industry. You've worked at workflow platforms before. So you have now gone off on your own and started Studio Pack. So let's go through a little bit about what you do there, because you do have so much knowledge that it's a really great thing that you've started up.
And that's like finding the balance of it all, of like all of that knowledge. And because it's not, a lot of people think it's just knowledge about software, and it's not. So, like, in my experience, not only did I get to onboard people, like, with their software, whether it was Captura or Photo Day, it was also getting a glimpse into, like, their day-to-day lives, because software doesn't just, like, fix everything or, like, is the end all be all. The software, no matter what platform it is a cog that fits in the machine of that studio that is already running. And the best thing you can do for that is to make sure the cog that you're putting in place fits with everything else and keeps the clock going, keeps the machine moving forward. And there's things that come up with that. And I think like the best part about my knowledge base is going through my expertise of calling out, okay, so this is how this software does it. Like, and you're here, and this is how you've done it in the past. So not only do we have to change what you're doing with your software, but we have to like backpedal a couple of steps and change what you're doing in your process before you get to the software. How are you preparing your employees? Like, what is the difference that they're going to experience? Are you going to have to change something that is like day to day, like a product or a printer? Like those things make a difference, or a camera. Like those things make differences, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. But that's how I like to view things. It's not just helping people adopt software and make sure they're utilizing it better. It's also how their processes and their studio's atmosphere, so to speak, lives around and can operate with this new software or with us implementing it differently.
Yeah. I think you touched on that really well, as in, I know you've worked with loads of different studios, whether that's in other
Mm.
jobs you've had or now. But while there's best practices, which we will touch on later, um, it's to do with your workflow, and it doesn't have to be a one size fits all. And it's, you know, how you're operating behind the scene doesn't have to just be like, this is how you do it with this software, this is how you do it. It's like, how can we make it best? Like, do you notice there's probably lots of things, but do you notice there's like one thing most people don't realize about how they operate, or there's loads of different things?
So, if I had to pick one thing, one thing being that a lot of people, because a lot of studios, no matter what size you are, you started being a mom and pop shop. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You were a 1 to 2 person operation when you started. And that is the biggest struggle, because when it's 1 to 2 people, it's very easy just to talk with each other and communicate and know that this process is here, because it's not really a process, it's just you two.
Yeah.
And then you grow, you expand, your business thrives. You go from having 5 schools to 25 schools. You have to bring on 10 new people to be able to help handle post processing, pre production, sales, customer service, like those things start to really factor in and you can't take all that on. So the biggest thing is people moving out of the mindset of like I have to do everything or like I have to have my hands in everything to being able to delegate, trust process, have points of contact, like your lead people who can come in and help you do that. And that all starts with you letting go. And I guess two things really you letting go and you getting those processes documented, put somewhere where it can be taught, it can be referenced, it can be used. Because if they have to call you to ask a question, you've already lost time because
Yeah.
that means that they took 10, maybe 15 minutes to try to figure it out on their own. Not
Yeah.
everyone's first instinct is to like go look for help. I'm like that. I'm not going to message somebody and be like, I can't figure this out. I'm going to try to figure it out myself first.
Yeah.
So, and when you're on a deadline to like deliver like ID cards, right?
Yep.
Or yearbooks or Cume stickers, or it's you've got to release these orders, but you need to make sure like what to do if something isn't matching up. That process cannot be just living in somebody's head. It has to be down on paper somewhere. Like whether it's a Google Drive link, this cool stuff called Scribe that helps you build onboarding documentation,
Yep.
like whatever it is, you've got to get it out and to be able to put it on paper. And that's when you really realize there's things that got to change. And those kind of like it just kind of goes down the funnel, right? Of like when you start to change that mindset of that I'm not a boss or it's not a one-stop shop. I'm a leader now and I have people that are bosses. Like I have middle management and I have people I can rely on. You get through the process of starting to like delegate. And then you realize when you start seeing the process that you were doing, you realize theirs was a better way to do this. But you don't know what you don't know, also. Like that is a real growth for a lot of studio owners.
Yeah, and I think obviously with what you're doing with Studio Pack, this is where you come in. Like we were saying, not one size fits all. And yes, a lot of people come from like a mum and pop and they start up and grow, but they kind of need that process that grows with them throughout. So it goes. So while it's not one size fits all, there is a right way to think about it. Whether and then how it works with you. So obviously you're helping studios find the right workflow for them. How do you go about that process when you're talking to people? Like when you look at a studio or have a conversation with them, what tells you in that conversation what is working and what's just getting by?
It starts with the bottlenecks. What are your top 3 issues? Like, what are the biggest issues you face right now? Is it post-production and you're, like, running a 4-week turnaround time on images? Is it because you are in like, you're running behind because you don't have enough photographers to fill, so you're having to push out dates, and, like, the further school day dates are, the less happy the schools are, you know? And, like, those are the things that I really like to find out, like, if you had to change something, or is it just is it a people problem or is it a process problem? Because 9 times out of 10, it's a people problem because the process doesn't work.
Yeah.
And,
So
like,
one
the
kind of interacts with the other, creating more problems.
right, and so you do one of 2 things, you fix the people or you fix the process, and it's a lot easier to fix process. Because 'cause I'm a
Yes.
big fan of aces in their places, and that's where I learn from these questions, okay, well, who's doing these things? Who's running the ship? Who's in charge of this? And most of the times, the answers go, and then they have to think about it, and I'm like, "Well, that's where we already have an issue." Is because
Yeah.
you don't know who is accountable for this, and you don't know, like, the risk that takes, because if you have to think about that, think about how they feel when they're getting delegated to and this information, and that just kind of starts that backlog and where those problems start to take place, and being able to find those bottlenecks and identify them to be able to say, "Hey, okay, this person, you're on a 4-week, post-production, turnaround time. Does this person like to edit? Is the tools that they have to edit and run through these things efficiently?" And, that's where it comes into, okay, do they understand the process?
Mhm.
What tools are they using to do the process? Are they going from this software to that software to this software? And are they having to like keep file names the same? Are they all respecting the same color profiles? Do they
Yeah.
respect extensions? Like those are a lot of things that go into being able to get it out. So finding those bottlenecks and understanding where in the process it is, and if the people when you get to that point in the process are able to succeed, those are the things I look out for and I find out because I'm like, okay, well, the software can do a lot of stuff, but if you are having the issues out here of the software, I know you are not able to go into the software to be able to find those solutions. And that's where I really drive it home. It's like, okay, are you using the software the best that you can?
Yep. And that's where you can come in and kind of give them that overview of like, this is the software. It's not going to be a fix all. Like, there's other parts. Do
And
you?
as we go through the process too for
Yeah.
that, is this what we're doing right now is not what we're going to be doing in a year.
Yeah.
Like things change, we grow, we better things come out, more features come out that, instead of having to do 3 steps, it's now a 1-step situation. Or
Yeah.
if it's 4, it's now 2. And that's the other part of it too is you said it that like the software like can is not a fix all and it's never going to be a fix all. It keeps everything on track and helps you automate the hard stuff so that way everything that's going on outside of it, that's where you can focus your attention on and really like push through.
Yeah. Because I know, I mean, I am so like this. Like, I like a good process. I like it if it's working. Sometimes I won't look outside of the process because I think my process works. What would you say to someone who is so set in the way of their process that they either think it's perfect or maybe they know it's a mess, but it kind of works now? Where would you kind of start with that kind of conversation of like, I know you do this all the time, but there is actually maybe a better way or a faster way or a less manual way to do this?
I love this Diane Sawyer line of questioning you're giving me, and it is perfect, Lindsay. It is amazing. So, the way I look at it with this, and this is going to be a very blunt answer for some people, would be like, so then why are we having this conversation if you think that it's so perfect? If you believe that this is so perfect, why are you having these problems? Because I tell you, there's a great book. It's called "What Got You Here Won't Get You There." Okay,
Love
great
that.
book. And you can already tell by the title what the book is about, right? So it's cool that this mess or this process got you here, but you're realizing that here is not where you want to be. You want to be further, or
Yeah.
you want to expand and refine, right? Like those are the two things that you acknowledge when you get to a certain point, like you hit your glass ceiling, is that you have two options. We can refine and grow what we have, or we can go out and get new business and expand.
Yeah.
And if your process isn't at like 75% efficiency for what you have
Yeah.
no dice of growing the grass that you've got on your side of the fence or going out and buying another acre. It's
Yeah.
not going to happen. And that's where I have a very honest conversation with people, and that's why like I'm the person that I am because a lot of people are going to watch this and they know me. Like they know that I genuinely care about this industry and their well-being, and it's hard to hear sometimes, but you've got to change in order for your business to grow. And
Absolutely.
it's task management, it's process, it's delegation, it's people. You when you go from a mom and pop 1 to 2 people to like 10, you are no longer a boss, you're a leader. You've got to be
Yeah.
able to coach. When corrections come into play and people have to be addressed, you have to hold those people accountable, but you also have to address it. Because there's some instances where a lot of studios, because everyone has access to the same things,
Yep.
the boss will just go in and fix it and do it for this person. And then this person just keeps making the same mistake over and over again. And you never coach and correct it. And then that's a problem in the process, right? Because other
Yeah.
people see that happen and then they think they can do one of two things. They think they can't do it, or
Yep.
and that they'll get away with it, or it's their job to go like correct this person. And
Yeah.
that's where like there's so many factors that go into like growing your business, expanding it, because it no longer becomes about just software and or softwares. Because at this
Yeah.
point, even between like scheduling, dude, taking payment, like those, like all of these things, like it's a lot to manage. But
Yeah.
if you can't lead your people through those process changes and to grow bigger, and you believe what you're doing is perfect, there's really no helping you, because you're gonna realize when it's too late. And that's a hard thing to take in. It
Yeah.
really is. When someone looks at you and tells you, you've got to fix this or it's not going to be here. And I
Yeah.
think that is a lot of what's happening in the industry. Is there's a lot of frank, because I mean, we're still like, we're post COVID.
Yeah.
Like, as much as the push for all of these happen, like, we're still dealing with, everything is a lot of digital this, digital that. There's a lot of leagues that never went back to in-person team photos. They just
Yeah.
stuck to digital composites because it was easier.
Yeah. I think that's a great kind of lead on, like people getting maybe stuck in their ways, or doing the same thing over and over again. Not only does changing stuff help you grow, but I mean, this even just from COVID, like you said, so many in-person things have not come back or changed, or we're dealing with so much, even with AI now and like technology, and our whole industry is based on tradition. But we also want to embrace the technology that's helping us, but we also need to embrace the technology that's kind of keeping us down, as in people stealing images, watermarks, things like that. Like,
It's been a hot topic lately.
hot topic, hot topic. And that's what I mean. If you don't know some of these processes, you're going to kind of get left behind. Like, I know this is the most used example ever, but you go kind of, everyone knows it. You go back to Blockbuster and not changing to be digital. Like, our industry doesn't want to be left behind like a Blockbuster, where you're not changing with all the digital and AI features and issues coming out at the moment.
And that's a good way of putting it, because you think about our industry, the high volume photography industry is just a sub industry of the photography industry, which changes all the time, from just
Yeah,
cameras, technology, the software used, down to like the lights and the ability to do cool stuff on shoot, like powder, chalk, strobe lights,
yeah,
water. Like, we've seen kids using alcohol and like quick flame their hand to make it look like they're holding fire. And it's like,
same.
that's wild, because I used to do that when I was a kid. We used to do that, so we take hand sanitizer and like put it on our desks and try to light it.
But
It
not
was
but not in a professional photo. Now
no,
it's just, that's happening there, not just in the back row of a classroom.
right, right, and it's like, and it speaks to like the AI stuff, because like there's a fine balance of like being able to be innovative and be able to keep up with the times in our industry without having to do like generative AI, or having to like create something that is not there, right? And to
Yeah,
give that like authentic experience. And I think
absolutely.
that's the thing, is that when it comes to like tradition and what we do, a
Yeah,
lot of people worry about like the wrong things, in my opinion. It's
yeah,
you our traditions in this industry is authenticity, and how
absolutely.
authentic this photo is, not how super retouched, super cool this is. It's the authenticity of whether you do PNGs and do backgrounds, the person in the photo. And like,
Yeah,
and that's, to me, is like where it's like very important. Like, you can make all of these changes and be innovative, but like if you're worried about like certain things happening, or if you're worried about being able to keep up with the industry and how
yeah,
it changes, there's one thing you should always know, is take a great picture. And I
yeah,
promise you, everything else you will be able to figure out.
absolutely, yeah. I think that's the thing as well. Like, you don't have to know everything. Like, if you are not confident with some of the technology that's coming out, like we can't all be AI wizards. We can't all be the most technological people, but there are people like you. There are people working with the software that are there to help. So if you're unsure about those kind of things, like, have the questions. You don't have to learn how to be a whiz with those things. Like, it's not something to fear, I think, is one of what I'm kind of trying to.
Yes.
Don't fear it, embrace it, but don't let it overrun.
And that's a great like segue into like best practices
Yes.
because it kind of like the first thing that anybody who wants to build something with longevity, who wants to be an entrepreneur, is that you are not the smartest person in the room
Yes.
because you don't know everything. You're like that's just never you're knowledgeable in what you have, which is the foundation as to why you wanted to start your business.
Hmm.
But you have to surround yourself with people who are smarter than you are to continue to push you, to continue to push your business to grow. Like
Yeah.
talking about not knowing like how to use certain technology or not understanding this, find those people, find them. And
Yeah.
like we talk about a lot about, aces in your places in the service industry. Like you don't put a C server in an A rank section because they're going to get overwhelmed on a Friday night and then you're
Yeah.
going to be in a lot of trouble. Like it's not going to be good. But like you put the people who know how to use the software or can pick it up quickly, who can do
Yeah.
this for you so you can focus on other things because one of the biggest things like to add to like the one I mentioned is that people get hung up on doing stuff and they're not the best at it, you
Yeah.
know? Like if you're a photographer, you're a photographer.
Yeah.
Like
And that's.
don't try to be customer support. Like
Hmm.
don't try to do that. If even as photographers, there's a lot of photographers that I know that editing is not their forte.
Yeah.
That is not their game. Find editors, post
Yeah.
production,
Yeah.
because you have to take the pictures, but you don't have time to take 12,000 pictures and then come back and edit
Yeah.
12,000 images. And that comes to finding the right people to put in place to use the software and use it to the best of its ability too, because it continues to get better. Not to, not to plug Captura since we're here, but like that is the idea
Allow
of
it.
like when I tell people about their image services and like what the images tab and the editing and like the ability to be able to keep everything together and to notify you when you've got to do things like that in itself is part of the process. Is like you
Yeah.
set up what needs to be done, you do what you can, and then you get an action or something to tell you that, okay, this has been done. Now you can do this. And a
Hmm.
lot of people even in my days of onboarding, the order of operations to get to that point of a post editing and post order editing type of touch ups like those are different those are different things and you can get them confused very easily but that is the point of like putting people like in their like that is their ace like that is what they are meant for is to
Yeah.
handle those services build around the process and make it something that is scalable. I think that's a very fine point. It has to be scalable, like you were talking about earlier. It has to grow.
Yeah. And I think what you're saying, like, it is a point. Not everyone is great at everything, and you shouldn't be. And learning from people is great. Like, obviously, we've got people doing webinars, like us. We've got, you doing your amazing stuff and getting people in their right workflow. But we are lucky in our industry that we do have a great community. Like, whether that's like using one of the community platforms like Captura has, or whether that's going to SPAC or going to SPOA, like there's such a good community where people want to share like their peer-to-peer knowledge and things like that. Like we have MVP coming up. Like we are lucky in our industry that we do have really great peer-to-peer learning as well. So, get involved with those kind of things. Like not just because Lucy at Captura said, but
Right.
these things are set up by amazing people. They run amazingly. Like get involved in these things because you can learn so much from them.
And that's a lot of the thing is that is the reason why like to stay in the industry is because of how close it is.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, like, at the end of the day, we're all after, like, a piece of the pie, right?
Yeah.
And, like, understand that there's enough of it to go around,
Yeah.
and that is one of the things about this community is that it's very close in that, and it understands that, and that we're all here to achieve something, and we're all here to share this knowledge because, like I said, we are a subset of the photography
Yeah.
industry. We are not the photography industry. We are the high volume school sports seniors of the photography industry.
Yeah.
There's weddings, there's like portraiture, there's corporate, there's headshots, there's events, like there's all of these things that take place outside of that industry. And I don't know many wedding photographers that live in the same area that get along with each other, you know? Like like they like they especially when they go to like WPPI and they find out they're from the same place and it immediately just changes. That's not quite the same here. Yeah, there's a few of us that, like to do that from time to time, but it's the general, like, especially like SPAC. It's the idea of that we are sharing this knowledge, whether or not you are in our territory or you're on the other side of the country. This is what helped me. And that goes back to me telling people if you take a good image and like you get it right there, that's what really matters. You can train the studio down the street to do what you do, but if they can't do it and deliver it with the quality that you have. So I always tell
Yeah.
people never worry about like training your competition. Like never worry about that because if you are doing what you're supposed to be doing and you're getting that image right and you're delivering the quality that they expect,
Yeah.
it's going to work out for you.
Yeah. I think that's a really good point that kind of leads into best practices because if you're having these peer to peer learning conversations, training other people, there's a certain element that schools and parents and stuff will be expecting. Like, we want the best practice of our work to come through and help with parents' expectation. Like, a quick shameless is actually not selfless, shameless plug for me is that's what we learned with the SPOA report that we'll be presenting at SPOA this year again. But it shows that, parents have a certain expectation. So we want to use our best practices to make sure everyone's meeting those expectations so that it's not a haywire of different things across the industry. Like, well, my school offers this, my school offers this, and we want to have some kind of best practice that everyone expects. So I guess if we go into, I know we've said not one size fits all, but a one way of thinking is good.
Mhm.
Um, should we touch on some best practice that you've seen? Like, I know we talked about some of the things you can look at, but like, would you say there could be some non-negotiable best practices that everyone should have in their workflow, depending on what software? It doesn't matter what software they're using or anything
Right.
like that.
There's always like the best practices for that, no matter what the software is. And that honestly comes down to your like the legit process from the moment you book the school to the minute the job is made live. All of that in between, regardless whether it's a league, school sport, or a school itself, the best practice there when you get to actual post picture day should never change. It should always run through the same cycle. For example, we were talking about leagues doing digital teams. We know we're going to have to do that with leagues every single time. We're going to have to make a digital team composite every single time. So
Yeah,
be prepared to do that. Pick out your colors that you're going to use for the borders in the background. Have that all prepared ahead of time.
yeah,
Those are the things no matter what the softwares that you use to get that, knowing what you're doing ahead of time with that is going to be the best thing. Same thing for knowing how many images you're going to want to offer or what you look for to cull when you go through the process of
yeah,
removing images that the parents aren't going to see. That should be the same thing. You can replicate it every single time. And if there is an anomaly, it's either an exception to the rule, which
Mhm.
and exceptions are not rules, folks. Just
Yep.
FYI,
Yep.
just because you have to do it that one time does not mean it's something that's going to happen all the time. And if it does turn into something that is frequent, that's where we go back, revisit the process, what's happening, and then we track it down. Is it the process for post editing, or is it because we're not doing it right in front of the camera and we're getting this weird like lighting issue, right? Which can add 5 minutes to editing, these images because you're having
Yeah.
to adjust the light for a specific camera because
Yep.
you don't have to do it for the other two cameras that were there that day.
Yeah, because it's like if you're already setting your like color profile or your cropping profile with one camera's out, it's not
Hmm.
so much your process in the workflow of it. It's like, well, we've got this image of a camera, like, and it's setting us back. So we need to make sure that part of the process is documented and like how the camera and the lighting setup as well is also
Yep.
part of our process.
And to have it be consistent too. Like there's a lot of issues with consistency in not who should be doing what, but when they should be doing it. Like, for example, like when you throw makeup day into the process, the amount of questions we get, I say we because we both get this question all the time. What do I do for makeup day? What
Yeah,
do you want to do? Or like, what do you do now? Those are the questions. Like, what do you want to do? Do you want to put everything in one gallery? Because there's other like things that break off of that, right? Like
yeah,
pricing, deals, expiration dates. Like you want to make sure that even though they were on makeup day, they still get that same experience
yep,
that people on fruit like first picture day got
yep, yep,
without making it seem like it's a hassle or extra work or not knowing like what your people should do in that situation because should they move forward editing those regular images on picture day or should they wait for the makeups because we're going to put it all in one because
yep,
makeup day is closer. And so like when it best practices, I love like the idea of best practices because there's so many like things that you like can compound together because it's the practice of knowing what you're doing, who's doing it, and how long it's going to take for them to do it. That's really what it comes down to when we start picture day. We get it scheduled. We know how long it's going to take us to photograph there, how long it's going to take us to set up, how long it's going to take us to break down,
yep,
how long it takes us to upload the images, sort the images, go through whatever workflow, and then get into the hard part, the editing of it all, the things that can really hold up progress if you haven't gotten those first four things right. Like
yeah,
knowing what you're doing, how you're gonna do it, your lights fire correctly, all your cameras are set at the right distance and set cropped correctly with an aspect ratio. Don't just go zooming in and out. Okay. So, like don't do that. That's gonna mess something up. I'm not condoning that. You have like your team composite and this kid's like half a foot shorter than everybody else because we only captured like torso up.
I mean, thing is, I
It's
hope
happened.
everyone else here knows all that. I may work in the industry, but I can't take a photo to save my life. So, something like that would be useful for me.
And see, neither can I. I am not a photographer. We all know this. Like some of the people that are going to be watching this be like, he ain't no photographer. I don't have to be. I listen. And that's the other part, right? Is that when you think about best practices, let's talk about people for a second.
Yeah,
Is that when you are looking to hire talent, they don't have to be a photographer. My success in this industry, I did not start in this industry. I was a service manager and a server and a bartender and a host and an expo for 15 years before I got into this industry. And I still use that knowledge to this day, to be able to like handle things, my ability to think on my feet, look at something and like look at it, not just see like the little problems or things, but actually look at the issue and understand, okay, it happens here. Let's walk back and see like where the real problem, like where it started, because we can alleviate the symptom, but if we don't treat the cause, we're just going to wind up in the same thing again. And that comes to people is that if you're looking when you're looking to hire people, you look for people who have like motivation. Like
Yep.
you look for people who have like certain like quirks, like attention to detail.
Yeah.
You know that you're not going to put an introvert, a person who likes to be quiet, like a person who just leave them alone to do their editing and to like to print their ID cards and like design their stuff.
Yep.
You don't put them as a poser or behind a camera.
No.
Like that is not, and vice versa. You don't take like an extrovert who is like, I want to be in front of people, I want to make them smile, I want to be behind the camera. You don't make them an editor.
Yep. Don't
And
hide them away.
exactly, don't hide them away, and like having people doing the things that they don't like they're not meant to do
Yeah.
is a practice that is bad. And the best practice, I will say it again, aces in their places, is you look for people and you put them where they're going to thrive in your studio, in your company. In-person sales, managing your accounts, doing customer service, like, you want people in those places to be successful, especially in the 3 main roles I just named,
Yep.
because you want new accounts, so you want someone who's gonna go out there and smile and be able to talk to people. You want people who are gonna be able to pay attention, right? Like, when a customer says, "I'm missing a package," they've got to pay attention to what the customer is saying. Like, "Are you missing a package? Are you missing, like the or part of the order?" Like, they have to be able to clarify, like, what is it that is going on, not just take them at face value. So
Yep.
you have to be able to put those people there, and that's a best practice that I think a lot of people in this industry have started to like catch on to, because there's like I'll shout out Heather Waters, love you sister.
Yay.
Um she is she is amazing. Love her hands down. But they run a very small crew for the things that they do. But it's because they've dialed the process in. They know who to put in what place, and that's there is beauty in that, because
Mhm.
once you've gotten to that point, like I said, you have two options. You can continue to go and get more business, or you can continue to water the grass that you have instead of buying another acre. And you
Exactly.
can only do those two things when you've dialed in your process and your best practices. And those best practices are not just software related, they are not process related, they are not people related, they are all the above.
All the above. I like that we've come full circle round with like, you don't need to know everything yourself. You don't need to do everything yourself. You need to make sure you have your processes and you put the right people in the right place. Like, it's so true. Exactly what you said. Like, we've shown some best practices, the right things to do, the things to lock in, and like those kind of things will actually help you grow, help you sustain what you've grown already. Like, yeah, I
And
love that we've
it
come
helps, it also
around.
helps the people too, because
Yeah,
you want people who are going to stick around. And when you show as, again, a leader, and that is the transition, right, that you become like the leader of your company, you show them that like you mean to keep this around. Because a lot of our studios are also in the family. Like, there's some of them are first, second generation, some of them third, fourth, fifth.
exactly.
And it's not just keeping it, like, in the family, but there has to be the want for the family to do it too, and that goes back to having a good business plan, being able to be successful without, stressing yourself out. Like, have a good quality of life because you've got the right people in place, you've got the right processes in place, and you have the right tools to be successful.
Exactly. Find that work-life balance as well.
It's a hard thing. It's a hard thing for
It
people to
is.
understand that it's no longer cool to work 12 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Exactly. And stressing
That
and spending time with your family or your cat or your friends or fishing on the new boat you bought yourself.
Mhm, and that's when you're hiring people, you gotta think, like, they're not owners, they're not gonna think like you. They're not going to have that same mentality.
Yeah,
But that's not why they're there. They're there to fill the talent that you need to have, so you can stop stressing yourself out and working 12-hour days, 7 days a week, because while you are the owner and you are held to a different level of responsibility, you also too have to have a quality of life, because people around you see that. It
exactly.
affects people, like, they see that. And it's not it's something that I is slowly going away, I'm noticing,
I
But
believe
it's
so,
taken
yeah.
a lot to, like, get those people who are in their ways to be like, "You don't need to work 12 hours a day." Guess what? It's gonna still be there tomorrow, okay?
Yes.
Because if you're already behind the deadline, 6 hours is not going to matter.
But with these best practices, hopefully we'll never be behind again.
That's the idea, because it's scalable.
Yeah,
You want it to scale, and if you do it right, you might get a little behind, but you don't go from, like, a 3-day turnaround time to, like, a 2-week turnaround time. You go from, like, a 3-day to, like, a 5-day turnaround
yeah,
time because
yeah,
you've just got the volume.
exactly. Well, obviously, we've heard a lot about your amazing knowledge and stuff, but we've also been super lucky to have your help on creating some checklists and some things that you can download so you can actually start on some of these processes and things like that. So, thank you so much, Roger, for helping us. We actually have it on our website at the moment. It's called the Calm Picture Day Framework.
She wants to
Um,
be on a beach.
we talked about when we talked about work-life balance and not working. I was like, oh, the beach, you know.
The
For those
sand
of
in
you
my toes.
For those of you that don't know, I'm currently living in Australia in Brisbane, and so the sun has just come up and it's beautifully sunny. So the distraction of the work-life balance there hit me real quick.
It's like ADHD squirrel, but, like, it really took hold.
It did. We took work-life balance, the sunshine, I'm off. But what is important is keeping all these processes together. And so, do you want to talk a little bit about the checklist we made up? Basically, takes you through a calm picture day, doesn't it?
It does, and that's so it literally starts with, okay, the step after you've booked the job, you begin. So you determine what your workflow is going to be. Are you tethered, barcode, QR codes? Like, I hope you aren't writing down image names. It's not 1995 anymore. We don't have to do that, okay? Please don't do that. But you determine your workflow, you set your job up, you get the bones put in there, right? What are your offerings? What is the introduction message that they're going to see when they go into the gallery? What's the marketing that's going to be needed for it?
Yeah.
All you It takes you through a list of these things to do, so that way it follows the order of what your picture day really looks like, because you set the job up, you prepare it, give it its bones, you set your workflow, you set your photographers up, you take the pictures, they bring the pictures back, they go through the editing process because you've laid out what they need to do, and then they're ready. The images are ready to sell, and it sounds so simple, and that's because it is. Remember, we are taking pictures. It's what we are here to do. We are taking pictures. And it sounds so simple, the process of the things I just went through, but understanding each step is not a what do I do here? It's a okay, which one am I doing? Or I
Yeah.
need to go pick this. I need to go pick that. Not like, should I attach a price sheet? Or is this the right price sheet? Or is this the right offer or marketing that I am attaching? That should not be the question. If that is the question, that's part of the bottlenecks that you have, because
Yeah.
people don't know what they should put in for that. They don't know what pricing you want to use. And
Yeah.
if you've booked this job and you haven't created the price sheet, you're not doing yourself justice, because you should already, like, either have the price sheet you're going to use because you presented it to them, or if you
Mhm.
promise them something special, that's one of those situations where you have to have a good working communication, because you can communicate that quickly to whoever's responsibility it's going to be to create this job, and they know, hey, put a placeholder in there for now, or if you know how to do it, go and make this price sheet. And
Yeah.
that's putting the right people in place to understand the software, because if you it takes you 2 hours to create a price sheet and someone 30 minutes, don't take the 2 hours to create that price sheet. Go have the
Exactly.
person who can do it in 30 minutes, and it just keeps the process moving right along.
Yeah.
And so
Well,
having a checklist keeps you on track,
yep.
but there's the 1A, the 1B, the 1C, and that's where having your best practices save you, because it's not. what I should do. It's like, okay, I need this one, I need that
This
one.
is next. Yeah. Yeah. I think it will having these out like the checklist and the diagram we've got in this are, they're great to have printed out. Um, Diagram could go on the wall, checklist could be printed out many times and you're going through it. But again, just to be able to hire more people to do these things, obviously people are going to go through some training, but this allows you to kind of focus on other things, allow other staff members to focus on this thing, like keeping your best practices, making sure, like we said, those deadlines aren't pushed 2 weeks. And if it ever is, it's a day. Like things go wrong, but with these processes and best practice, using a checklist like this, you're giving yourself the best opportunity to not be behind and
You're
to
giving
make
yourself a little grace.
exactly.
And like you because you can forget too. Like that's I think that's the most important like kind of pin to put in for a checklist is that this checklist isn't just for your employees, the people you're training, your kids that work for you. It's also for you because that knowledge has to come from somewhere, and that's why it's a simple checklist because there's your 1A, 1B, 1C of it all because it tells you that you need to whichever workflow you're using, you need to prepare for. And your first thought should be, well, schools, I'm tethered, in sports, I'm QR code, or I'm using barcode scanners, things like that. So that way it's not you are not forgetting either because you forget, you communicate something to somebody and you forgot to tell them something and then that kind of just snowballs into that effect of like, oh, we're 8,000 pictures in and we forgot to set them at this aspect ratio. And that's ultimately that's what I want. These are opinions. I There's a lot of facts and a lot of experiences that I've been through, but this is the beauty of it is that we give you the bones and you fill in the rest. And that's where it always stands because each studio does that little thing a little differently. That's why one software doesn't fit all sizes. Like that's just not possible. But it's also how you at your studio do your things and how you can conform and to like be able to see it from that lens of being like, you know what? We've did it this way, but because of like the software that's in front of us, we could do it that way. And
Yes.
the beauty of that, that's where the real change and the process comes from. And that's what I live for is thoroughly improving people's quality of life, not just through giving you time back to like go do whatever it is you want to do, but to improve your quality of life when you work and when the people you have who work for you improve their lives too. Because it goes down. People who are motivated and like what they do and enjoy coming to work do better work. That's a fact. That's not an opinion. That
Yeah.
is a fact. Like that there's just no way around that. But how you get there and how you establish that, I can tell you all the things on the world. But like I said, they're my opinion. Each studio is different. But the bottom line is that if you don't have process in place, it's not going to continue to work. You got here, but you've
Yeah.
got to get there. And that's what you got to change.
And these are the knowledgeable opinions.
The knowledgeable opinions of the
Knowledgeable
Roger Pack.
opinions. There we go. There's a new podcast you can start.
Add it to my list.
You heard it here first. The knowledgeable opinions of Roger Pack coming soon.
Okay. It's just me dressed up as Einstein with like a little like Gandalf pipe sitting in like next to like a fire, just
I have to say, I don't think I'd be the only person who would be signing in to watch that. So we might, if people want to hear that,
let us know in the chat, okay?
Yeah.
We love public opinion here, so let us know
We
in the chat. And if we want to start this, we'll make it happen.
I love that. Okay, well, we've kind of gone through a bunch of stuff. We've gone through our checklist, we've gone through best practices, talked about the industry. What are your final thoughts? Like the one thing people could change. What's your favorite thing about helping people change? Let's have some final thoughts from you.
Final thoughts. If there is two things I can tell you to change, okay, two that will drastically change everything. One, if you can't keep up with what you are doing, you have to find a better way to do it, or you have to find people to help you do it. You can have all the process in the world, you can write everything down, you can have all of this documentation, but if it's too much work, it's too much work. And nothing is going to change that. Second thing I'm going to leave you with is if you are thinking about how you're going to keep up with your tasks and how you can communicate with people, start a Google Workspace. You're a business. Start a Google Workspace. S- Have chats, add them as users, set up calendar invites. Don't worry about text messages or just sending regular emails to like their personal emails or whatever. You are a business. Utilize your tools as a business. And
Yeah.
I promise you, doing, if not both of those things, one or two of them, either or, doing those things will go ahead and start making a drastic improvement to how you are keeping up with your life and your tasks and who's doing what and how to assign it. Because it's a paper trail. You don't have to chase people down.
Hmm.
Those are my final thoughts.
I love them. Absolutely excellent. Okay. Well, I've absolutely loved having a chat with you. This has been really good. Um, I think it would be amazing for people to get in contact with you and chat more about this. So I know your website is thestudiopack.com, but
Sure
we'll
is.
also add a link here for your calendar invite to book some time in with you. Like, I can't recommend people going to chat to you enough. Like, making sure that your process is down and having someone who is super knowledgeable, who does know about different softwares, but different workflows, different, you know, jobs that you may not have hired for before, like how to kind of make sure your growth is sustainable and also working for you. So highly recommend getting some time in with Roger because you won't regret it. But yeah, your link will be here. They can go visit your website. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us. And also thank you so much for all your help with our checklist that people can download. But yeah,
The
sign us out.
pleasure the pleasure is all mine. It is I like I said, I love this industry. I want it to succeed and we're all in this together. The final words I have is when the tide rises, all the ships go up. Okay?
I love
Thank
that.
you very much, beautiful people. Thank you, Lucy. Thank you, Captura. Super happy to be here and I will catch y'all later.
Thank you so much, everyone. We'll see you later.